fine.
Well, hello everybody, welcome back. It's been a while, been a long time. I keep saying that almost every episode now. That's because I never am consistent with anything. And I've been super busy here in Sydney because this place is just ridiculous and is always busy and always takes longer to do everything. So yeah, I basically rode from home to the petrol station and forgot to plug the microphone in, so I was talking for a good, say, 10-15 minutes with no audio. Go me, because, you know, it's been that long that I forget to do this sort of shit now. I have actually no plan as to where I'm going. So, there's been a fair few things happened since my last update on this motovlog channel. Like, a while back I did a video on the possibility, or plans I should say, for buying a new car. And that car was, I revealed, was the Hyundai i30. So basically, if you remember that, you can basically take those plans and throw it out the window. I'm not doing that anymore. Mainly because my needs changed. So instead of having a nice, you know, cheap, fuel efficient car, I've gone in the exact opposite direction. But, there is a but. It offers things that the i30 couldn't possibly offer. So I have actually purchased a new vehicle, and yes, I still do have the XR6. It's still sitting outside, and it is currently for sale. Look it up on eBay if you want to buy it. I haven't actually done any videos on it, so no one's really going to know what's done to it, but if you want me to do a video on it to see what has been done to the old girl, to see if you would like to buy it, and all the things that I'll be throwing in with it, which is a hell of a lot of stuff, because I want to basically clear out my garage of all the things I no longer need, which is including a second set of wheels, or my amps, my audio for the car, all going with the car, all the performance parts, all the
standard parts will be going to the car, and anything aftermarket that I've taken off the car will go with it too. So, you know, basically whoever buys the car is going to have an abundance of choices. I have no idea where I'm going. I just decided to ride in this direction and I didn't take the turn that I was supposed to take, but oh well, shit happens, you get that. So yeah, I had a pre-selected selection like criteria for the new vehicle that I wanted. Basically, I wanted a little bit of luxury, but also have utilitarian ability. So it had to be a ute, and I wanted leather. I was going to seek a manual. This is Alasil. They make great food, but they're quite expensive. Nice Lebanese food. Food services, eh? Where am I? Who cares? I'm just gonna keep riding and then I'll just use my GPS to get me home. Anyway, so I wanted leather, make it all nice and sexy. It had to be a ute. It had to have balls because I knew I wasn't gonna be happy unless it had balls. So it had to have balls. So obviously I'm thinking, yeah. And then I thought to myself, every man at some stage in their life needs to own a V8. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have purchased myself a V8. Unfortunately, I purchased the lesser of the two V8s that I was looking at. Well, there was actually three V8s I was looking at. One was out of my price league. One was within my price league, but was more than I wanted to spend. And then I found I was searching for months and months and months, trying to find the right car, going over the same ads, trying to convince myself, okay, this might be good enough, blah 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 blah, for the price point. And then I was just like, nah, that's still too much money, I don't want to spend it. So essentially I was expecting a miracle to find the perfect car for the perfect price, for the perfect everything else. And then all of a sudden there was an ad that just popped up that was actually down the road from my work. It was for a ute with leather, with a V8, it had decent power, and it looked fucking good. Provided for the price point, it's obviously not going to be perfect, and there is a lot of imperfections with the paintwork. That can be worked out. That can be fixed. But when I went and looked at the car and I test drove it, it was flawless. The thing had lowered suspension and was actually more comfortable to drive than the XR6, especially with the requirement of new bushings in the XR6 and the diff and that. So there's a lot of clunking and whatnot, bangs in the XR6, whereas this thing, no noise. It was perfect. So I put a down payment on it that day, and I think it was 1 to 2 weeks later, purchased it. I took it home on the day that I paid for it. And then I had a few hiccups here and there. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm going to turn somewhere soon. Fucking hell. I've never seen this area before. Although it looks familiar. Some of it does, anyway. So what was the ute that I purchased? Cue collage. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, I have gone full Bergen, full country bumpkin. I have bought a BF 6-speed XR8U with the Boss 260 motor in it. So if anyone has done research on the motors, the three motors I was looking at was the Boss 260, the Boss 290, and the Coyote with the supercharged motor, which was the cheapest one you can get is if you go an FPV GS Ute, and they have 315 kilowatts at the engine. Where on earth am I? I have a feeling I'm going into dead ends. Maybe I should go back the way I came, because this is, oh, Jesus Christ, the rich people area. So yeah, so I really wanted the GS Ute, but the thing's like 30 grand, and I'm not making any money from YouTube. I'm making fucking what I consider a minimum wage at work, and I couldn't afford that, unfortunately. Never fear, ladies and gentlemen, because one day I may have perfect ute. I love this ute, but obviously it does have a few things to be desired, because it wasn't everything that I wanted, but it is pretty fucking cute. I'll go down here. I want to get back on the main road. Oh, that's Almighty, there's some nice houses around here and some weird fucking houses too. Like this thing. Like, look at that door. Jesus, that was some weird shit. Yeah, so the Boss 260 is renowned for being... because the Boss motor originally was a 4.9 litre, and what Ford did to basically turn a truck engine into, you know, something that was good for speed, they essentially bored it out further to a 5.4 litre, so it's basically a 4.9 with a stroker, theoretically. So, but because of the long stroke, it means down low torque is pretty well up to shit. But once the engine gets up and going, man, like, you can't stop the tyres from chirping. It's like forever trying to regain traction with traction control. The good thing about the traction control on this car is that it's not very invasive. It'll let you slip for a bit before it kicks in, which is what I like. I like it a lot. And then you can just turn it off completely and just do skids for days. Skids for days! Black was not my preferred colour because, you know, that shit's hard to clean and hard to keep clean. I washed it today, that's where that video come from, of the car. And so, as you saw, my XR6 is sitting behind it, still miserable because it's not being driven, no longer registered. And then I went back to my parents' place with this car. I drove perfectly on the highway. It was absolutely awesome. And the exhaust, that exhaust note sold it. Everything else was perfect about, like, drove nice and that. It was not 100% perfect, but what do you expect for the money? I spent a very minimal amount of money on it because it was basically them trying to get rid of it. Because I think there probably was a lot of people that looked at it and didn't like it because of the imperfections with the paint. But that's a minor thing for me because, like, it's really not that hard to fix paint. When I actually want to put time into it, I will, and then I'll get rid of it. Get rid of the shit paint. So, but this thing, like, once the power comes on, it fucking rips. It's great. I love it. And I have a feeling I'm going to go through tyres big time. It's still, I wouldn't say it's as quick as the XR6. The XR6 does have more power and does have more torque down low with the help of a supercharger. If it was, obviously if it was the stock XR6, the XR8 would kick its ass. But my XR6 is not stock. So yeah, this thing kicks ass. Has a mad exhaust note, fucking roars big time. And I've already done one upgrade to it, which was the intake. I'll replace the first lineup of the BFs. They seem to, for some reason, want to still use the XR6 airbox. Don't know why. It seems very restrictive for a 5.4 litre V8. So yeah, it has leather, as you saw in the video. It has a V8. Sounds awesome, goes awesome. It actually drives really smoothly thanks to the ZF gearbox. Apart from it being sluggish, like in the initial RPM range, it goes hard. And I expected, because it's a heavier motor too, so you got a heavier motor in the front of a car that already weighs in excess of 1,600 kilos. The thing's going to take a little bit to get up there, but once it does, it has a mighty fine time. And then I went back to Golgong the first few weeks that I owned it and picked up a whole tray load of stuff. Probably would have been a couple of 100 kilos worth of gear. And I went up through the mountains back to Sydney and there was just no issue. Like, the thing pulled hard everywhere it went. And that's the glories of having a V8, 2 extra cylinders, is that the thing just pulls hard, no matter what. In the low RPM range, you don't even really need to shift down gears, like, even though it probably won't pick up quickly in the low RPM range, you're not really going to have much of an issue with getting up hills and such. So yeah, that's the big news. My new car reveal. Complete opposite of the i30 I was originally going to buy. I mean, besides the obvious differences that it's a ute and not a station wagon or a hatchback. It chews more fuel, it costs more money to run, the insurance is a lot more, but it's worth it because V8. So I hope everyone enjoyed this little video. considering you haven't heard from me for a while, so hopefully you still all managed to receive this video, like notification wise and whatnot. And I mean, if anyone is interested in the XR6 and you want to see something about that, I can show you, I can do a video on it, I can drive it around maybe, but yeah, no, it's good. So just hit me up in the comments below and I'll make a video about the XR6, about, you know, if you want me to show under the hood or all the bits and pieces that I put into it. If you're interested in buying, just let me know. And you want to get a notion of all the stuff that I'm going to give you. I wish I had an air horn. But without further ado, I will see you later and catch you at the next video.